In today's video, we're diving deep into a powerful story told in 10 episodes, a journey of betrayal, resilience, and transformation inspired by Stoic philosophy. Watch closely as Alex learns 5 timeless ways to handle disrespect and discovers the true meaning of strength and dignity. Episode 1, The Breaking Point. On the surface, Alex had it all figured out. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave, their desk was a model of order, color-coded files, neatly arranged notebooks, and a calendar packed with meetings they didn't set but always showed up for. To colleagues, Alex was reliable, polished, the person you handed chaos to when you needed results. But beneath the polished exterior was a truth Alex dared not admit aloud: respect was always just out of reach. Their ideas were applauded only when someone else voiced them. Their effort noticed only when someone else benefited. And each time they were left out of a decision they helped build, they swallowed it, smiled, nodded, kept the peace. Until that Monday. The meeting room was warm, humming with the quiet buzz of pre-coffee chatter. Alex's heart pounded with anticipation. They'd worked nights on a proposal that could change the company's entire direction. But when the presentation began, it wasn't Alex standing at the front. It was Carter. Alex's colleague, notorious for borrowing others' brilliance, was now speaking their words, presenting their framework, and even pointing to the chart Alex had designed just hours before. He didn't even change the font. Everyone clapped. The boss called it innovative. Carter nodded humbly, like he'd actually earned it. Alex smiled. A tight, practiced smile. The kind you wear to stop yourself from screaming. The kind that hides rage behind restraint. But inside, something cracked quietly, sharply. It wasn't just about the idea anymore. It was about what it meant. All their efforts, all their sacrifices, still weren't enough to earn basic respect. That night, Alex lay awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, the sound of Carter's voice echoing in their head. And for the first time in years, Alex didn't feel tired. They felt done. Episode 2, The Wrong Fight. Something changed after the meeting. Alex still showed up early. Still wore the same crisp shirts. Still answered emails within minutes. But there was a new fire behind every glance, an urgency born not of ambition, but of betrayal. At first, they tried subtlety. A carefully worded follow-up email hinting that some ideas had originated elsewhere. No response. Then, a private conversation with Carter: "Hey, you presented the model I've been building for weeks." Carter laughed, unapologetic. "Oh, I thought we were collaborating. It's all team effort, right?" That's when the gloves came off. Alex began pushing back hard. Challenging timelines. Redlining Carter's reports. Sending bold all-staff memos dripping with subtext. The office, once cordial, now pulsed with quiet tension. Chairs scraped louder. Small talk died when Alex entered the room. Behind closed doors, things got worse. Heated discussions. Awkward silences. Alex's voice, once calm and constructive, grew clipped, colder. They weren't fighting for recognition anymore. They were fighting not to disappear. And the world didn't applaud their courage. It branded them difficult. First came the looks. Then the skipped lunch invites. Then the performance review meeting, where vague terms like tone and collaboration style were tossed around like grenades. Outside the office, things weren't better. Over dinner, Alex told their parents everything: how hard they'd worked, how unfair it all was. Their father sighed. "Maybe you're overreacting. Their mother added, "Why do you always let things get to you?" Even their best friend, Maya, brushed it off with a joke, "Come on, you've survived worse. You always bounce back." But this time, they weren't bouncing. They were unraveling. One night, after another argument with Carter, Alex sat in their apartment, laptop closed, phone face down, surrounded by sticky notes and empty tea mugs, and felt hollow. Not angry. Not sad. Just tired of fighting battles no one even knew they were in. Something had to change. But what? And then came a call about their grandfather's estate. An attic to be cleared. A box with their name on it. They almost said no. Almost. Episode 3, The Ghost of Dignity. The attic smelled of dust, cedar, and silence. Alex hadn't been back to their grandfather's house since the funeral. Everything inside had been preserved like time refused to move on. Old books, faded photographs, the same armchair he used to sit in for hours whistling, sipping black coffee, and scribbling into notebooks no one else was allowed to touch. They came to help sort the estate. Nothing more. But tucked beneath a stack of yellowed newspapers and brittle blueprints in a forgotten trunk, Alex found a small leather-bound journal. The cover was cracked with age, the spine stitched by hand. No title. No author. Just one phrase pressed into the leather, "For when you forget who you are." Alex stared at it for a moment, unsure why their chest tightened. They flipped it open and froze. Inside were quotes and passages written in slanted, deliberate handwriting. Latin phrases, underlined words. Entire pages filled with marginal notes that danced between wisdom and warning. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Marcus Aurelius. If you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize you have compromised your integrity. Each quote was surrounded by circles, arrows, stars, like his grandfather had been studying for war or survival. Alex ran their fingers across the ink. This wasn't a passive collection of ideas. This was a personal doctrine. A lifeline. Then, on the inside of the back cover, in smaller, shakier script, "Alex, if you're reading this, then life finally pushed too far. Read slowly. The world doesn't have to change, you do." It was like a voice from the grave had reached across time and touched the moment. Alex sat there for hours, flipping through page after page, unsure whether to feel haunted or saved. All they knew was this: someone they once admired had faced the same invisible war and left behind a map. Not for revenge. Not for justice. But for something far more radical. Dignity. Episode 4, The First Principle, Indifference to Insult. Monday arrived too quickly. Alex stood in front of the bathroom mirror, fingers tightening the last button on their shirt. Something in their face looked different. Not colder, calmer. The kind of calm that comes not from peace, but from preparation. In their bag, the leather journal, now bookmarked at a page that read, "Insults are like sparks, they only burn if you choose to catch them." The office hadn't changed. The same hum of machines. The same tight smiles. But something inside Alex had. By noon, the moment arrived. During a routine team meeting, Carter struck again. This time, it was a snide comment tossed like a dart during a project update. "So, Alex is finally letting us in on the plan. Didn't he think we needed clearance for basic tasks?" A few laughs, nervous, but real. Everyone turned to Alex, waiting for a reply. Waiting for the old fire. The comeback. The storm. Instead, they got a pause. Alex looked up from their notes slowly, eyes meeting Carter's with unshaken stillness. And then, a slight smile. Measured. Controlled. Almost, amused. Then, calmly, if there's confusion, I'll be happy to clarify. Otherwise, let us stay on track. No bite. No heat. Just clarity, then silence. Carter blinked. The laugh caught in his throat. The meeting moved on, but something shifted in the room. Later, in the hallway, one of the interns whispered, "That was savage." In the quietest way possible. But Alex wasn't aiming to impress. They were testing something sacred. The journal's wisdom echoed in their mind: the insult is nothing but sound unless you give it meaning. For the first time in a long time, Alex didn't walk away stewing or second-guessing. They didn't replay the moment 100 times or draft a better comeback in their head. They just walked on. And in that strange, unsettling peace, they felt something return: power. Not the loud kind that demands attention, but the silent kind that no one can take without permission. Episode 5, The Test of Dignity. The office was buzzing that morning, but beneath the hum of keyboards and coffee machines lurked an undercurrent of tension one Alex could feel deep in their bones. The weekly team meeting had always been a minefield, but today, the traps were more blatant. As Alex settled into their chair, they caught the eyes of a few coworkers exchanging smirks. The subtle war was about to begin. Within minutes, the ambush came: a sarcastic clap from across the room, timed perfectly as Alex began to present their report. "Bravo, Alex. Really groundbreaking stuff. If only we'd heard it from someone who actually gets the big picture." Heads turned, some suppressing laughter. The jab was unmistakable: cutting, public, designed to wound. The old Alex would have snapped back instantly, fire for fire. But today, something else took over. Alex inhaled deeply. They met the eyes of the instigator Sam, a junior manager known for their sharp tongue, and said quietly, yet firmly, "You're entitled to your view, Sam. I'm focused on delivering results." The room fell into an uneasy silence. The bravado in Sam's posture faltered for a moment. The usual chatter died down. A colleague cleared their throat, nodding slightly at Alex. For the first time, the power dynamic shifted. It wasn't a grand victory. There was no applause or cheering. But Alex felt a quiet triumph, a moment where dignity had outlasted disrespect. Later, alone in their office, Alex reflected on the moment. The journal's words echoed: "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." Seneca. They realized this wasn't about winning arguments or silencing critics. It was about choosing when to speak, when to stand firm, and when to let the noise pass by. And for the first time, Alex felt the edges of their old self soften, strength tempered with grace. But the battle was far from over. Episode 6, The Betrayal Within. Just when Alex thought the worst battles were at work, the fiercest storm blew in from the most unexpected direction. It was a Friday evening, the kind that should have meant laughter and comfort. Instead, the tension in the small cafe where Alex met Maya, their closest friend since college, was palpable. Maya stirred her coffee slowly, avoiding Alex's eyes. Then, finally, she spoke, her voice low and tinged with something Alex couldn't immediately place. "You're different now, Alex. Cold. Arrogant even. It's like you don't trust anyone anymore." Alex blinked, stunned. This wasn't about respect at work or betrayals in the office. This was personal. "I'm trying to protect myself," Alex replied carefully. "I'm tired of being stepped on." Maya's laugh was brittle. "Is that what you call it because it feels like you've built a wall? And I don't know if I can get through." The words stung, but what hit harder was the shadow behind them, envy. Not the petty kind, but the deep, unsettled fear of losing what she once had, a friendship untouched by scars. It became clear, Maya's frustration wasn't just disappointment, it was a mirror reflecting her own insecurities, her fear of being left behind or replaced. For the first time, Alex realized that disrespect isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's tangled with love, fear, and jealousy, unspoken emotions worn like armor. That night, as Alex walked home beneath the cold city lights, they grappled with a painful truth: disrespect can come wrapped in the guise of concern, and sometimes the hardest battles are fought within the heart. The journal lay unopened on the bedside table. But when Alex finally opened it, the next passage read like a challenge: "Sometimes, those closest to us wound the deepest. Know when to fight and when to forgive." Episode 7, The Mirror of Attachment. That night, the silence in Alex's apartment was heavier than usual. The city lights filtered through the curtains, casting faint patterns on the walls. Alex sat curled on the worn-out couch, the leather journal open on their lap like a fragile lifeline. Their fingers traced the words slowly, deliberately: "You don't need their respect, you need your own." The phrase hung in the air, as if daring Alex to face a truth they had long avoided. For decades, Alex had built their identity on approval, praise from bosses, applause from peers, validation from friends and family. Each compliment was a brick in a fortress meant to shield fragile self-worth. But now, the fortress felt more like a cage. The exhaustion wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. Alex realized they had been chasing shadows, living for reflections in others' eyes, hoping to feel whole through borrowed respect. The journal's pages revealed a path forward: freedom begins when you stop living for the gaze of others. Memories surfaced: childhood moments of trying to please a stern parent, school days marked by striving for top grades, relationships strained by a relentless need to be liked. Alex's chest tightened. The enemy wasn't the disrespectful coworker. Not the jealous friend. Not even the toxic workplace. It was the endless hunger for approval that had made them vulnerable. A tear traced a silent path down Alex's cheek, not of defeat, but of release. In that moment, beneath the weight of their own expectations, Alex glimpsed the possibility of freedom. The journey inward had begun. Episode 8, The Quiet Transformation. The weeks that followed were unlike anything Alex had ever experienced. Instead of chasing validation, they began to pull back slowly, deliberately, like a tide retreating to reveal hidden shores. Conversations once filled with over-explanations now became lean and purposeful. Emails once overloaded with justifications were replaced by clear, concise messages. Social media, once a stage for seeking approval, turned silent. Alex stopped oversharing. They stopped trying to explain every misstep or defend every decision. Instead, they held space for their own values to speak louder than words. Colleagues noticed the change, though no one dared mention it openly. There was something magnetic about Alex now, a quiet confidence that didn't demand attention but naturally drew it. The more they spoke less, the more their words carried weight. At meetings, Alex listened more than they talked, observing patterns and motivations with new clarity. When conflict arose, they responded with steady calm instead of reactionary fire. Even Maya, who had once accused Alex of coldness, found herself reaching out with cautious curiosity, sensing a new depth behind the stillness. The journal's words became a daily mantra: Detachment is not indifference, it is freedom. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Dignity is the armor of the wise. Discernment guides the unshakable. Direction without distraction leads to mastery. One evening, as Alex closed the journal, a strange peace settled in their chest, a peace that wasn't silence, but a steady heartbeat in the storm. The transformation wasn't flashy or loud, it was quiet, almost invisible. But it was real. And it was powerful. Episode 9, The Power Shift. The email landed in Alex's inbox one crisp Monday morning, subject line bold and unmistakable, promotion opportunity. But there was a catch. The offer came with an unspoken demand: play along with the company's toxic leadership style. Pretend the culture of backstabbing and empty flattery was just how business gets done. Keep the peace, keep the smiles no matter what it cost inside. Alex stared at the screen, feeling a familiar surge of anger and exhaustion. But this time, something steadier held sway. They typed a reply, short and clear: "Thank you for the offer. I must decline. I'd rather keep my soul than sell my smile." The silence that followed was deafening. Whispers spread like wildfire. Colleagues looked at Alex differently now, not with disdain, but with a mixture of respect and disbelief. Then came the second email. A recruiter from another firm, impressed by Alex's reputation for integrity, offered double the salary and a leadership role free from the old company's drama. But here was the twist. Alex didn't accept. Instead, they paused, reflecting on the journey from desperation to dignity, from noise to quiet strength. Then, with deliberate calm, Alex crafted a new path. They launched the Stoic Space, a consulting practice dedicated to teaching others how to lead with character, not chaos. To find power not in control over others, but mastery over self. The corporate world buzzed with rumors. Some called Alex reckless. Others whispered admiration. But Alex smiled quietly, knowing this was the true victory. Episode 10, The Final Lesson. The grand opening of the Stoic Space was nothing like Alex had imagined. No flashing lights. No roaring crowd. Just a modest room filled with a handful of curious faces, professionals broken by the same battles Alex had fought. Alex stood before them not as a warrior hardened by conflict, but as a guide tempered by wisdom. They shared the story of betrayal, anger, and the long climb back to dignity. They revealed the journal, the lessons, the silent power of indifference and self-respect. Then, with steady eyes, Alex delivered the final, unexpected truth: the one who masters themselves never needs to beg for respect because they've already earned it. A hush fell over the room. The words echoed not just as advice, but as a revolution. Alex was no longer the person who fought for respect. They were the person who embodied it. And as the session ended, a single question lingered: what if you're already enough? The students left transformed, carrying that question like a seed in their hearts. Outside, Alex closed the journal one last time. The student had become the teacher. And in that quiet moment, the journey, both an end and a beginning, was complete.